Here we are. Welcome to Edu Night number 3. It is a beautiful Sunday afternoon. I am not outside, have not gone outside today, but I know it's beautiful from the confines of my room. We do not have very many replays today, but that is okay because we have each other. We have a large lobby today full of beautiful people, and that's okay. And once we're through with the replays, I was considering us watching some of this Clem VOD. I think that might be a fun thing to do. But in the meantime, let us just watch some replays. We have a little bit of catching up to do from last week. We didn't catch the last 2 of Chaz's replays. So those are TVTs. I think these are like, I think it's like the 2nd or 3rd TVT we've actually had. So let's start with this. What was his questions? I lose too many workers to Liberator, and I died to a 2 medevac counterattack. How do I convert this into a win when I was in a good spot? Okay. So we're on Berlingrad, one of the newer maps. It's a very long game. Mr. Universe. He's going worldwide to build a barracks. Our Terran hero, Buckethead, must defend the 2 Rex Reaper. Let us give him strength, boys. Gentlemen. So, yeah, we have Reapers. He's holding. Seems a bit sketch to forcefully get this tech lab out. You could just keep building Reaper Hellion for a little bit. That's a little bit scarier for him to deal with. It would also mean, like, it's a little bit more punishing when he jumps up. Like, he has 6 Reapers versus 4 units. He would die if he jumped up right now. So building this is not an option. But you do get away with something really greedy. So it is going to ultimately be pretty darn good for you. Another consequence of this is that oftentimes if you... Oh, that is so stupid. Oh my god. Holy shit. It's really lit. It's really cool. Like, I support what he's doing. Like, I wish I was this cool. But this is really dumb too. I love this though. This is the spirit of RTS. Yeah, another consequence of not building more Reaper Hellion is that it becomes a, like, you can normally kind of force yourself to be able to take the low ground some of the times. Like, if anything good happens, like you kill a Reaper or anything, you can kind of just forcefully take your natural by continuing to build Reaper Hellion. And everything's perfectly fine. You just treat it like you're going like 3 Reaper, 2 Hellion. And then you just kind of have a normal build. It's kind of cool. That is just so funny. Alright, that seems fine. Yeah, you're still pretty far ahead. The auto turret may have been overkill, but that is okay. Where's all your units? Okay, so like now you leave these Marines here, and then your Cyclones, or your Cyclone and your Raven go here, and then you have a tank here. And now you were safe. Just a minor mistake with moving the units here. It was just because the Marines messed with you. But you gotta be strong, brother. At the end of the day, he just gets to see that you're going bio and that he killed an SCV. That was pretty much it. You can scan a space right around here. Yeah, like this scan right here should have went into scanning his main instead of dropping a mule. You can still drop, like, you're floating 2 scans here. You're floating 3 scans. Like, just keep in mind, like, you haven't left your base yet, and you're making macro mistakes. That's something to think about. It's perfectly fine in these situations, especially in TVT, to just scan. Oh. I mean, you kind of know it's mech at this point. Yeah.
So, like, what do I do instead of whatever just happened here?
You just take your thing.
Titanic sequence.
Yeah, you just play defensive. Like, you're in a situation where you can kind of out-mech the mech player. Because look at your economy here. You're up 7 workers. You're up an air. You're up in a raven. Your tank count is ahead. It won't be forever, but it will be ahead for a little bit. So, like, as long as you just set up your 3rd base and macro well and get double gas, and then you tech into building your 4th/5th barracks and getting concussive, you then have a couple options. You can decide to... So I'm going to stop watching from this point because this is where you lost the game. This is just completely egregious. This is throwing the game away. Because you were ahead. Sure. You played everything well up to this point, pretty well. Like, obviously, I had little nitpicks, and you can see why those were good to make little small adjustments there. But overall, you had the right idea, and you did it right. And you're doing a good follow-up. You're doing a good build. Your upgrades are good. Like, he doesn't even have his started. So, like, what I probably would have done different is, like... here, let me go back to around this point. So, like, from here... And then, like, I would see that his 3rd's, like, way before mine, or way later than mine. And I would feel confident about my tech lead. And I can do things like this. All I need to do is focus on SCVs. And, like, I can go as far as, like, delaying units just to build my barracks a little bit faster. Because I kind of like leaning into heavier bio play versus this type of stuff. And I'd actually probably consider cutting tanks right around here. I don't really like playing heavy tank either in TV mech or bio V mech. That's a personal preference thing. There are people that do build a lot of tanks in this matchup. I'm just not a fan. I don't find it incredible. I think the tanks are good as like early game units and like for your first push to set things up, but like beyond that, I don't know. I feel like the things that you're trying to do with the tanks are just as easily done by whatchamacallit, Vikings and Liberators. And like, you can now just decide to go on the map. And this is a little bit different now because you have a lot of Marines. You've got medevacs on the way. You can stim on his units. You have the Cyclone with you because you set up your vision. And because I'm not building tanks anymore, I can get faster ARACs. And now, like, I don't even have to, like, try to engage. Like, I'm not going to try to take the fight here. I'm just going to sit outside his base. And what does sitting outside his base accomplish here? It forces him to move his Vikings to be where my Vikings and Ravens are. Especially since I have a Raven advantage. Now, what I can do with that knowledge is I can do some pretty aggressive stuff that is kind of nasty. So, if I do something like this, did you go E-base before barracks or something? I feel like you have like a lot of, like your upgrades are really fast somehow. But like now I know where his Vikings are, so now I can comfortably drop. If that makes any sense, right? Because if I know where the Vikings are, I can drop where the Vikings aren't. And if I just suicide for workers while I'm taking a fourth, and I'm on 8 racks, and I have this siege position, he can't break the siege position after killing this that easily without like trading poorly. He's lost a lot of economy now, and I'm setting up my own economy. Like, I'm literally going to go just build another orbital there, and then I'm going to keep building SCVs. And I'm just going to keep building medevacs and marauders and marines and all of these units that are just going to stop him from being able to kill me. I'm just going to perma be on the map, stopping his economy from growing. And then, like, I can decide to build this on location, and this on location, and this off location, and... like, now I'm just being a nuisance on the map. You can see that, right? And actually, I don't like having this many units, so, like... this many units is actually kind of bad. I think normally this would get killed off a little bit quicker. So let's just pretend that happened, and then like I just replaced it with more SCVs. I want to be on like 85 workers in this game. I want to be saturating 5 bases pretty much. And then I just get into really high bio counts. I go on to like extra barracks, and then I can start thinking about gas and more starports. I probably want to split up these starports between multiple locations just to be extra safe. Get this, get this, get this, get this. You want to be on double armory once you start thinking about air. And with your extra money, when you're playing this, you just get all the upgrades in the world. You're playing as the rich man. The rich man gets to afford the upgrades, while the poor man has to build units to survive. Like, I get to build upgrades and SCVs when he has to build units. And that enables me to build units that are better than his. And then you can also start being really annoying yourself with sensor towers. Oh, this was supposed to be there. And you can also decide to start doing stuff like that. And then you can get the eBay upgrades. Another one of these. And you see where this is going. You can be pretty Liberator heavy too. And now I'm having like the fusion core start. I'm on 5 port. I have double upgrades for it. And it's all pretty early in the game. We just have this setup. And then you can keep building CCs. More CCs just enables you to eventually lower the amount of workers on your economy, which is going to be really important later on because it means you can replace your SCVs with having mules. So that's how I would play that out. I would just have waited a second, and then there's a big chance that he throws away cyclones, or I just have the units required to push out despite his cyclones existing. This is the corner replay. I read the wrong thing. Mr. Universe again. Mr. Worldwide, Mr. Pitbull himself. Here we are.
Command center upgrade. Panel complete.
Although you can do this, I'm not a huge fan of this build.
Mine?
Yeah. I don't think this went terrible, but the reason that you kind of position here is that you're pretty much going to give up your natural when this happens, and then you just go to your main and kill the Liberator. That's usually what you want to happen. You just end up losing a little bit less workers and mining time. Because like he's going to show up, you're going to be like, oh shit, it's the Liberator thing, because that's the amount of Reapers he has for it, and then you go over here and you deal with this Liberator. But like, regardless, you're still fine. Look. And you killed his Liberator. The thing that you want to be wary of now is like the follow-up here. So like, this guy's being an animal. He's building a second Liberator. If he was being a little bit smarter about it, he'd be lifting this up and going like here or something, or maybe over here. I don't know if the tower can see that or not. And then he would build the tech lab and he'd go Banshee. That's a follow-up I see quite a bit. And so you would use this medevac, or preferably your Raven, to just go check. But like, I don't even know what this is, to be honest. This just seems like you're walking up with 3 Cyclones and it gets thwarted by 1 tank. Oh, it's a tank and 2 Cyclones. Okay. Still, it's a bit interesting. Like, he still could just siege up with both tanks at the same time and your tank would die. Like, you just took a ton of risk here for no reason. Like, you were already ahead. You just needed to let your advantage become bigger, right? If you're ahead economically, that advantage doesn't show up until a couple minutes later. So you can just go Raven and get Vikings and then focus on your macro. And then you would just be up the 4 or 5 workers. I think you were up 6 workers after that, if we can include the amount of time it would have taken for this to transform into an orbital and finish building. But instead you let his follow-up Liberator do a fuckload of damage to you. Like, you lost 5 workers, and now you've lost this many. Like, that's all you lost. You lost 5 workers to the initial stuff. And because you were doing this weird aggressive stuff, you just lost a shitload of workers. Like, if you are going to do this, like, at least be wary of the fact that that starport exists and just leave a Cyclone at home. But, like, objectively, this is not a good push to do at all. Like, you were already ahead. You didn't need to get more. You had enough to win. And even in the standard game, like, what you're doing gets pushed back. regardless, you're catching up. It just seems like your macro is better. Yeah, this is exactly like this is a really good move from him. This is how you push this back. Yeah. This is kind of what kills you. There's not really too much for you to do in this situation. Like, I suppose you can scan him and see that he has these barracks. And they're way faster than yours. And you, from that, can know that his only move to break out of this is to, A, like, flank with that bio once he has combat shield. Like, either, like, 16 Marines here and the rest push from here. Or he base trades with bio. One or the other. So, regardless, you're forced to come back home. You just kind of overstayed your welcome. Like, you already had your advantage back again. You had gotten it back. Like, or you at least made the game even, right? Because you had the air superiority and the tanks. But he gets the bio, and he gets to be mobile with it. So, you have to play defensive from this position. Oh, he broke you. You only have 3 tanks. Yeah, this isn't too hard to break. He's gonna scan you and see that it's only 3 tanks and then go. And he could have microed this a lot better too. There was a lot he could have done to break you easier. This seemed like you just got punished for doing this. Is really the whole point. Like, I was trying to talk to you about this exact situation before, and you just disagreed with me. That, like, when you do these aggressive things, you can get punished. And you even had the scouting information this game to know you were going to get punished. And you just did it anyways. Like, you would have been at 40 workers right now, and the game was over. As long as you just leave a cyclone here, and a cyclone there, and your tank right there. It was actually a very simple game to win from the position you were in. Like, although there were things you could have done better to hold the build easier, your build was still really good into his, and you could still just auto-win from the little bit of damage he did do. Because, like, not only are you just, like, you're slightly ahead, just from, like, how the build orders worked out, but now you're also, like, you were better at building SCVs than he was. Like, you were more consistent on that. There you go. Like, just go tech lab and build a Raven. There's no reason not to, especially since Banshee's a common follow-up to this build. Like, the Liberator screws you if you do the aggressive thing that you did. The Banshee screws you if you do that as well. And it would actually just auto-win him the game if you did that. Because his Banshee would be about to pop out right now. And then it would be like another 30, 40 seconds on the maybe like 25 something. Maybe I don't know how exactly it lines out with the Banshee. Is Cloak like 100 seconds or something? It's something interesting. But yeah, definitely by that point in time, he would have had Cloak before you had a Raven. And you wouldn't have had a Cyclone in your base. So this gets denied. All these SCVs die. That's really sad. Yeah. It was really just the decision to do that. That wasn't good. This came up a lot. All right, that's our TVTs. Some cool stuff. Thank you, Chaz. Should I just play 3CC when I scout Stargate with Reaper? Played a double gas build with 2 Reaper, 1 Hellion Factory Expo. Is my transition appropriate after failing to really pressure his third? Should I be more aggressive about denying his fourth? Should I try dropping? 2. Turtle Sky Toss with robo units on Super Battery is the GOAT and unbeatable by virgin men with guns and drugs. Sky Toss OP Super Battery was made by a Bronze Team's Protoss player so he could get the plat. That's a lot to emotionally process, I'm going to be honest, team. Is this even a map? I suppose it is. This map is stupid. This is my first time looking at this map. It's stupid. Like, it doesn't look like you can break them anywhere. Like, your main's pretty defensible. I guess this is a lot more space than it looks like. Like, up here it looks like 0 space, but down here it looks like it's the whole entire universe. So yeah, units can hide up there. You needed to build that second depot a little bit faster. Factory being built. You can hide that factory. What you do is you go 7 hexes back, and you can use an eBay to count like 3, and then you go another 3, and then 1 more, and then the one below that. So on the 8th one back, I think. Maybe it's the 7th one. You'll have to test that with a probe to be exactly sure. I know it's some metric like that. You scout that. Definitely do go 3rd CC, I suppose. I can't see that being bad. Like, there's a lot of things you can do. Like, there's a lot of paths you could choose to take. I know that one may be more consistently good than the other, but the other ones are still options. So I could start Magfield right here and then put the rest of my gas into building Vikings. Or rather, I suppose you build the Viking and then you'd start Magfield, but that way you're just building units and not being bad. But so I'm not 100% certain why you in-base CC'd from the safest opener in the world. That seems a little bit troll. You can also 3-rex like this. This is fine. If you know that it's Stargate, you can decidedly take a later gas and just build Marines instead. And then start building the gases, and then you can go into Siege Tank. If you go Siege Tank here, there's a lot more pushes you can do, especially versus Colossus. Okay, we're scouting. We see a 3rd base. Like, you can have 2 siege tanks here, and then, like, this just feels way better. Like, if you show up with all of this, but, like, with, like, 10 more Marines, and then you have 2 tanks, and then you siege right here, you at the very least deny a gas or something, you know? You can also show up from this angle and shoot his gases. I feel like both of those would be very annoying. Yeah, I could definitely see leaving like 2 Reapers here, and then attacking here with 2 tanks and just killing his gases. That seems pretty obnoxious. I could see a world where he also super batteries this and then Omega Void Raise you. So maybe that's not advisable. Like, the hopeful Terran in me wants to believe that 2 siege tanks and 20 marines would kill this Colossus through a shield battery, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure. But that is like kind of how you play through X versus Stargate, is that you just kind of go heavier on the marines and then you go siege tanks, and then you'd maybe have like 2 marauders like you do. But building the marines would also have enabled you to have faster 3rd CC. Maybe there was something going on with your macro in your build order. But I'm more or less here to talk about the ideas. I don't want to get too nitpicky on the build order, unless the build order is the question. But yes, 3cc is really good. But you can play this 3x different and have it be better. I definitely don't like how passive you're being against this. If you see your opponent's teching super hard and expanding, that means that they're going to be cut on army. So like, even if you can't drop into him, you can still run units at him. You can have units run here, and then have units here. And that's going to be hard to hold both locations. You don't have to drop. You could just walk in. It's not like he's walking. It's not like there's 3 Colossus situated here. And if he walks up with his carriers and Tempest, I don't think he's going to catch your bio. You definitely need more Vikings in this to contest his air army, though, at this point. And you're going to instantly lose them all. Yeah. Yeah, you just kind of tried to force this fight really hard. And then you're going to be like, oh, well, I killed his Nexus. But he also killed your whole entire army while you were, like, up a ton of supply. Yeah, you were up 30 supply. He lost, like 20 supply in that fight. You lost 70. And that's not even just like him being efficient or anything, but I just feel like with the units that you have, you should try to attain this goal through a different army movement. Attacking into this army in one place doesn't work. We know this because carriers and disruptors are really good defensively, but they become a lot worse when you have to use them offensively. So, if he comes to attack you later with his massive carrier ball, and you have a proper Terran late game army with like a ton of Liberators and Ghost and Vikings, it becomes quite hard because all those interceptors kind of clump up, and your Liberators will one-shot all the interceptors. I think if you catch wind of this stuff early enough, there's also a situation where sometimes, keyword, sometimes, you can just decide to go battlecruiser, and the game's a lot easier to play out. Just micro-wise, because I'm going to be honest, microing Viking, Liberator, Ghost versus Carrier is still very hard for me. I haven't found very good ways to do it yet. But I don't play as much as I used to anymore, so I'm not really too worried about it. I know what to strive for, at least. You're getting a good Viking count. I just wish that you would start going into libs now. Libs here would be good. And you need the air upgrades. +2, second armory. I think your 5th base should probably be done. Because like you can use this time that you're maxed as a way to like slowly bleed out bio units while you add in more air units. And it keeps the pressure on the map. And then you could use your extra money to be building CCs and turrets. And then at home, you're just kind of chilling with like this big Viking Liberator blob. Like at this point, you need like 10 Liberators. If you have this army, minus some of this bio, with just 10 more Liberators, I feel like things go really well for you. Especially in like a defensive trade, but like see how you're engaging the army that's really good at defending? Don't do this. Like, your Viking strong point is walking up, shooting him, and then running away. Not walking up and sitting there. So, like, if you weren't to have done this.
And they're out of here.
So, let's do this and this and this. You even have a Thor. I would get rid of these, and I would just start building Liberators. Okay, so
The minerals have up and gone.
and then like you can do something like
Mineral
this.
field depleted.
And then you'd have to back off. Obviously you'd want to be a little bit more poignant in terms of like, and then get away.
Vespine geyser exhausted.
But like you can really kite this a lot. Like there's no Archons, there's no Storm, so you can always just kind of, especially if you're running away into turrets or into your bio. That's when it becomes really scary for him. And then you can also, like, I don't like the Widow Mines anymore, like in this army, because if your goal is to kite with the Vikings here, then you're gonna kind of kite into Widow Mines, and then there's a big chance you lose these. So let's go into Unit Testor. Do my bookmarks want to load? Oh, maybe it's because I'm on Europe. Yeah. But like, if we kind of look at this terrain, field, like, let's say you have like 6 ghosts, 15 Vikings, 10 libs, and you're playing against like, what you might call it, like, say like 10 carriers, and the 2 of those, and like the 5 disruptors that were there. I think this is kind of what his army looked like. And then yours had a little bit of bio. And then like the goal at this point. Oh, wait, hold on. Let's go back. I need to give Terran upgrades. Combat shield, stim, EMP. Then this, and let's just say they have 1/1 pretty much. Yeah, that seems pretty good. And then if we take this SCV, and we look at it in terms of just, what if this Protoss carrier army decides to come attack move me?
Need something liberated? Commander.
And then like I focus fire this. Like, you can see how the Liberators are actually really effective here in terms of clearing out all of the interceptors. And I actually wasted my first few volleys just attacking interceptors with my Vikings, and you can see how like he's struggling a lot. And this is only 3 turrets. And we can play through this fight again with no turrets. But the Liberators actually make the micro a lot easier if it's in this situation. And like, this is a fight that we're taking without any ghost EMPing.
We read you.
So if it's just like these 10 carriers coming at me like this, and let's just attack, move it.
Course set. Perfect. Moving into position.
The ghosts are kind of getting involved. But you can see like how much of a difference just those 2 or 3 turrets makes. And it's not like your units that he's instantly focus firing. So I hope that kind of like illuminates kind of how you need to play this. Because just kind of attacking with Vikings and Liberators into this guy is going to make your day terrible. So like preferably you would have like a ton of turrets. And like you might even have lib range to siege a couple of these Liberators. And then these Vikings now, they can kind of walk up and he's gonna do this. I'm gonna do something like this. And now I'm in a fight like that. Bro, like these fucking carriers are like heat seeker missiles for my army or for my air units. But like you can see even there, like if the AI like oddly microed that like nearly perfect for Protoss, it looked like it just kept focus firing all of my units. It still turned out really well. As long as you kill that carrier army, you are fine. Because as Theron in this game, you're sitting on like 4 ports or like 5 ports, and you're sitting on 8 racks. So I can just rebuild bio and more Liberators, and then I just go on the map. I hope that makes sense.
So even if they focused fire your units, as long as it's
As
over
if you
turrets,
trade, like trust me, I think if any of you play a game where you trade with the carriers instead of just dying to the carriers, I think that's a net positive.
So do you suggest going out and pestering the army constantly to keep trading, like endgame Zerg?
No.
So what do you do in the endgame with your units?
You sit behind missile turrets.
Really? Alright.
That's why I built missile turrets. Like, you can maybe base trade a little bit with the Marines and the Marauders, but the Ghost Viking Liberator has to be there. Like, my whole entire talk there was explaining that you can't attack it.
Well, yeah, but I thought you would be able to kite it, you know? So even before they get to your side of the map, you're just like constantly kiting with the Vikings.
Yeah, but if they go, like, if they have Templar like they're supposed to, or if they have, like, a couple of Archons, that gets a lot harder.
Fair enough. And what is the kind of ratio you suggest for the Liberators and Vikings?
I don't know if I would call it a ratio. I just think you get, like, 15, 16 Vikings and, like, 10 to 14 Liberators.
Alright.
You just need a shitload of air, to be honest. This is a replay from Blind. He said, how do I engage favorably? Do I have to engage at all? Why did I lose? I had bad trades and lost my army. How do I engage / should I engage? So you threw away all of your units. This is, I really like this from Drift. Because like now, because you threw away those units, he's gonna be able to just run his Cyclone and his Hellion on the map, and he can just kind of sit outside your base now. Like he could leave the Cyclone here if you wanted to at this point. Like right here, you have a scan in your natural. He just dropped it like 1 second ago. See, he can scan here instead, and he would see your third base. He'd see your Raven. He would see 1/1/1, and now he knows that you're playing standard, so he can send the Cyclone on the map. And you have lost all map control in the game. You're not going to be able to send Marines out to scout anymore. And so from this point, Drift could have decided to be really aggressive. Like he could have went third Raven if he wanted to and kept building Marines and just all into you because you have no vision. But he's going to play it a little bit more defensive this game and prim and proper. A lot how I would like to play it. He's getting his double eBay. This is all really good from Drift. Your build looks good too. Here we go. You also could have scanned him at that time that I had spoken about, 510. You also have a scan at that time. See? It's like 506 or something. 506 to 510. You would scan him and you'd see the exact same stuff. It's just like a really consistent way to scout in TVT. Because at that point you usually see like a pretty good branching of where they're going. You see if it's building a second Raven or if they lift after first Raven to build Viking. And if there's a third or not, or what the Marine count is. There's a lot of little bits and pieces of information you can pick up. He's building Vikings. He really could have sent these units out way faster. Like he could have been sitting like out here already with his units. Especially since his Cyclone Hellion was on the map. What happened with the trade here? I suppose he ran into a siege tank. Oh, it's just a little bit tragic that his Hellion didn't follow up the ramp. He could have killed your Cyclone here. You started your upgrades a little bit faster than his, which wasn't supposed to be the case. They should have been a lot more even. Both of you getting caught on your supply blocks a little bit. But Drift's up 2 tanks on you. Okay. You can see that his second factory is later than yours, but that's because he's been spending his gas a lot better in general. Like, you were floating gas, and there's like a weird time where it's like, oh, I can just kind of put down the second factory. It should feel like actually pretty tight in terms of gas counts in TVT. Like, it really should. You should have a lot of tanks, and like, I'm constantly building Vikings. I go 6 Vikings, and I build a couple medevacs. I go to 4. I go like 6 Viking, 4 medevac, and then back into Vikings, and I have tanks going the whole time. And then I also have to afford like 2/2 in my armory and my tank attack upgrade, and like building this sensor tower feels like a chore to me. Like, it feels so terrible to have to build a fast sensor tower in TVT for me. It's because like you're kind of forced to this game. If he had red, there's a child outside my room screaming. Oh my goodness! Hold on, give me 1 sec. I just want to go see what they're screaming about.
The child harass.
Yeet the child.
They're just screaming at a fucking tree. There's nothing. It's just a tree.
That poor tree.
What time is it for you?
2:51 p.m.
Oh, fair enough, yeah.
But they're screaming at the tree, and I don't like it. I liked it the first few times. I'm like, oh, that's great. That child is playing. And they're still screaming.
You liked it?
No, the first couple, it's like it's chill. It's like, oh my god, that child is having fun. But now it's just the child is ruining my life.
Wow.
Stop it, small child. Moving on.
Jeff hates children.
No, it like the first couple times it's like, oh, this is part of like a community. This is an environment. But now it's just like an Apache war cry, you know? It's just unsettling. Okay, so Drift right here needs to counter over here and just ensure that you're not getting a fourth base behind this.
Yeah, he could have got me good with that drop. I don't know why he didn't go. 'Cause
He
I
F-
didn't have anything at home, so.
He F2'd. Yeah, he F2'd. Yeah, this is really...
Like, that fight was bad. That's kind of what I was talking about. Do I even have to, like, go after him here? Like...
I think the real question is, where are your tanks? You have one
Yeah,
in your main.
I always felt like I was down tanks. I guess I didn't bring a lot of them with me.
Yeah,
That
you-
would have helped a lot, actually.
You left 5 in your base.
Amazing.
But, like, you can't really do this. Like, you have no vision. Like, the step in which Drift kind of messed up here was he could have been using these Marines. Like, is
All
there a
over the
second?
map.
Wait, hold on. There's a second child now.
Jesus. They're multiplying.
Yeah, he definitely could have been on the map way fast. Like, I don't know why he's dropping these. Just, like, walk. Because you can just go deny all the vision, if there is any. Like, you have all these Marines, and yet you haven't tried at all to put a single Marine on the map yet. Like, a Marine could be here, and one right here. Like, you guys are playing without any vision. And
We
this,
trust each other. It's mutual.
like, both of you, like, all right, I'll close my eyes if you close your eyes. Like, Drift did this move, and this was really sick. Like, he did the exact thing I would have done, verbatim. And then he just stopped as soon as he got to the most important part of the plan. Like, when you lose your Reaper Hellion like that, like, he can even send, like, his first, like, 10 Marines on the map, too. He can send, like, one here, and one here, and one here. And the Cyclone's out there to support him. Yeah, like, this is really troll.
This was unfortunate. I feel like I could have caught the drop, too.
Yeah, because he's just queuing a drop in the middle of the map. Just
Yeah.
walk it. Just walk it. Walk your dog. Walk your child. She stopped screaming. Oh, thank God. So I think he just kind of loses his Ravens here for free.
Yeah, I kind of get them with the Marines.
So this is one of those weird moments where you don't know if it was good by you or bad by him. It's bad by him. Because if you look at the screen, you can very quickly notice these first 3 tanks that would defend my Ravens doing that move are disabled. You can't walk up and kill the tanks, but you can definitely step up here. So it was good for you to notice that. You definitely go in a bit too much. And then right here, you should hold command.
Okay.
I think you understand my feelings as per to why this push out was troll.
Yes. It was
Because
just YOLO. It's very YOLO.
You just didn't have any vision. Like, he could have had his army right here as you were doing
Yeah.
that. And you
It
would
was
have been
just
none
very,
the
like,
wiser.
super gamble.
And, like, quite frankly, he should just A-click you.
Yeah, it was over by now already. here I go pushing again. This was bad because I forgot half my tanks like behind my army.
A story in two parts. Bum 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 ba da 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 da.
Terrible.
He also has tank upgrades on you, which is
Oh, okay.
very, very bad for you. Yeah.
So it's kind of over already at this point, I think. Because
Right, well,
I think he just aim-moved me.
I think right here is where you kind of lost the game. Actually, no,
Yeah.
you're still pretty good in tank count. You still have 10. Well, 4's kind of stuck on an island, so it's really 6 tanks that you're defending with.
Yeah.
So I think that's enough for him to kind of push you out. But to be honest, the way that he actually pushes you out is by flexing his tank lead with his Viking lead as well. But like, I don't think he has that crazy of a Viking lead. I think if like 2 Vikings were about to pop out, you would have been pretty fine. Like you would have just like walked around with him. Like you would have a sensor tower right here, and you would walk around with 6 tanks, and then you would just follow his army around, and then you'd probably be fine. I think the only thing that goes kind of bad is like if he's really, really stupid good about sieging tanks, he'd probably just pick up 4 of them in these medevacs, YOLO boost right here, siege them, and then he would control this whole spot here,
Yeah.
and then he would have the
And
air
you can't
sitting there,
rotate.
and then like the tanks would like slowly leech around to here, and so it'd be like
I think
tanks.
that's
on this-
kind of what he ended up doing.
Nah, he just runs at you.
He was like, nah, this is over. Stop trying to cosplay a Masters player. That's that.
Yeah, but nice play overall. Like you were keeping up pretty well in your macro and whatnot. I think it's just if we look really closely at your macro, we'll notice that there's a lot of gaps in your tank production.
Probably, yeah.
So like that wasn't too much of a gap. That was like 150 gas. And this is like I think the first tank, yeah. And then the second tank,
Nope.
another 30 gas time lag. And the fourth tank, that was pretty decent. You stop at some point, I feel like. Like, just with the way that you did your build, you're going to be naturally 1 tank behind. Yeah, this is where you start to drag really hard. Because look, this extra Viking as well, like, you've been super pressed for gas. And, like, another tank should have been started by now. And then you'd be starting your armory pretty soon. And then you'd be starting another set of Vikings. Yeah, you're like behind a whole set of Vikings pretty much. And you're behind a tank and a whole set of Vikings already from your
I don't know
mistakes.
if I forgot, or I just didn't have money for it. For that 4th tank or something, I think it was.
No, you were floating gas.
Oh, okay, so I just forgot. Alright.
So like you should naturally be 1 tank
Yeah.
behind, but like it ends up being 2 tanks behind and then 3 tanks behind. And nothing happened. Like you were only supposed to be 1 behind this whole time, just because you went 3 Reaper 2 Valiant. That's the only reason why.
Right, okay.
But like you're sitting on 500 gas.
Hmm.
That's the only reason you feel inclined to build this factory. If you had the almost 2 tanks that you're supposed to have here. Yeah. And then like if you were being better about your Viking production too, you would have had these medevacs like way earlier. And then like you can see that he has the Viking count and he has 4 medevacs.
Yeah.
So he's up
Oh.
like 5 air units on you too.
Yeah.
So you can see how that adds up in the gas. 2 tanks, or I guess it's Yeah, it's 2 tanks and it's the 5 air units pretty much. Or 2-ish, 3-ish, something like that. It's like weird because there's like half cycles in it too. I mean, if you stopped here and ran away, you did kill 2 ravens for 1.
Yeah.
And a lot of marines. Like, the only problem here is you're just not macroing.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything.
If you were building more Vikings or like massing marines or building 2 tanks right now, be pretty sick. But not bad. Just work really hard on getting that vision set up. And like tell Drift to do that too.
But because he was the one like always telling me to put Marines on the map.
Yeah, he wasn't doing it himself. Oh. Look, it's future team.
18 cowboys.
18 naked cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch, ready to rock. I think he's playing in a apprentice qualifiers.
Yep, bracket is live.
Where is this? Well, now that we're through the replay section of this Edu Night, it's actually not too bad. We analyzed replays for about an hour.
Ah, I'm against Cognite.
We can actually watch Clem Joie. I think he actually plays against Raynor a few times. Unless this is a different VOD. This is from last month. I'm looking for the one 6 days ago, I think. Yes, here it is. He's wearing his pajamas. Look at him. This is some energy I look to have one day. Oh my goodness. So let's kind of talk about his build order a little bit. So I believe this game he plays Banshee, 3cc, and he's gonna do. It's a lot like the way that you were doing it, Chaz. It's very similar. He's doing this in Raynor. Cool thing about this build is that if you are playing 3cc and not like fast second guess, you can build your factory later. Like, there's actually different timings for when you start your factory, and they're only like a few seconds apart. So like you can see how like you would normally have 100 gas and the 100 gas right now, and you'd be able to start your factory right now. He's queuing an SCV, but normally you wouldn't queue that SCV. He might even be queuing 2 SCVs, I'm not sure. But normally you'd be able to afford it like 4 or 5 seconds faster. And then you only do that if you're going for the really fast second gas and not 3rd-CC. But he's going 3cc, so it doesn't matter anyways. Your Hellions are going to be delayed because you just don't have enough minerals to build them when they finish. So you can build it a tiny bit later. I was always confused on why Innovation did it differently sometimes. And now I know. And now he's gone. My true love. Let me see now. He's going to start his second gas. Yeah. But he's being very good about his Hellions being started immediately. If you're going to do this perfectly every time, go ahead and build that gas a little bit early. But if not, you can do it slightly differently, and it doesn't really affect the build too much. The only way that in which it affects it is that you kind of have to go 8 Hellion instead. If you're going 8 Hellion, you can delay that second gas. I'm just going to let it play out. He's being aggressive. He sees Raynor's ready for him. I think in this moment he said, oh wow, he's playing a lot safer than I thought. And because of this, his Hellions get caught. He loses 2. He trades out a little bit with the Zerglings, but in the end, not a great trade. And he went 8 Hellion this game. So the little gas trick actually would have been really good this game. Because his Hellions would have been a little bit faster. His aggression hits a little bit faster, a little bit tighter. May have been something that caused a difference in this game. But the way he's doing it's fine. He goes into Siege Tank. He's already starting to build at his third base. And he's walling off like that. Sometimes you see Clem will always build depots next to his CC, and sometimes he builds it at a wall. I think it's just because some maps have good wall offs with a few depots and other maps do not. But it seems like this is one of the really good wall off maps. We're also going to witness Clem fighting lurkers with just Widowmine this game, I believe. And I actually didn't know about that as much. Chaz had brought it up in a prior Edu Night, and I wasn't sure about it, and I hadn't seen any content of it. So I went ahead and did some studying, and I have seen it being done now, and it makes a lot of sense to me.
Nice.
And I kind of get it now. I do think Siege Tank is a little bit simpler at first, and a little bit less mechanically intense. But the Widow Mines definitely seem good. Because the whole time, the Terran players thought that the Siege Tanks were our lurkers. They were the equivalent. But Siege Tanks are not invisible. Widow Mines are. So we're actually going to see why the Widow Mines end up being really good in this situation, because Raynor ends up having to move his army a ton to react to what Clem is doing, and in moving his army and trying to do counters, if Widow Mines are just kind of burrowed everywhere, there's a very high chance that Raynor just kind of runs into a random Widow Mine somewhere and takes a lot of damage. We could also see that Clem built one safety tank this game, and then he went into Widow Mines. And he was building it off of a tech lab, and he built a faster second factory. And it enabled him to be able to go into the Widow Mines quite quickly. Clem has 0 fear. Oh, a third medevac showed up out of nowhere. He's just rallying to his natural, and he's picking up the drops as they come. He's on his 6th gas. In his prior games in this series, he had noticed he was coming up a little bit short on gas. I think it has to do with, if you build safety tank, then you kind of have to go for that gas. He sees that it's Hydralisk now, so he's confirmed. He gets 2 queens for a Widow Mine, which is actually really nice. It's going to hurt Raynor's creep spread just a little bit. The only problem is that it'll thwart his aggression for a little bit. Raynor really did mess up. I think he is supposed to have bailing speed already. This drop in the main base is very nice. And I really like that he defends his medevacs from damage like that. He's going to get at least one gas killed. That's mildly annoying for Raynor. He also confirms that the hive is not on the way. So he knows that Raynor's like not like trying to be super greedy, and he doesn't have to push it. That was so clean. Really nice. He saw that he didn't get the Baneley snipe, so he just picked up really quickly. He sees that drop get caught. It's kind of bad by him. He didn't have to drop there. He could have just left it in the airspace. Really clean target fire, and he just barely doesn't get away. That's tragic. So the game's starting to not look as good in his favor, because Raynor's been able to set up his bases and thwart off the aggression and trade pretty evenly. He also built 2 sensor towers on top of his third base. And like this situation, from Clem's perspective, your goal is like, yeah, he might get the bases, but if I trade really efficiently, then I'll just end up like 20 supply ahead, and I'll be able to at least put my weight around in one location. He has his Hellbats with his army now, so he can be a little bit more aggressive like this for one trade. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was a very net positive trade right there. Especially since he killed more queens. Nice job splitting up his drop. And we're going to be seeing him going into Ghost pretty soon, I assume. I think he's going to wait to see the lurkers, and then he's going to start building them. But never is he going to try to continue trading in one spot here. He needs to force Raynor to split some of this army up, because the Zerg army is going to win. He just wants to deny these outlying bases, the really far out ones. And he kills all of those, and he still has that siege tank in a really sick position, actually. Look at that right there. That's really cool. That's such a cool spot. He builds that wall, and he's perfectly safe always from the Ling aggression. And it is even aiding in this position right here in which he's defending. He's not actually defending in his third. He's defending right outside his third on top of this ramp, which is actually a really interesting idea. The Banlings kill those Marines over there, which is really bad. That should not have happened ever. Like, if he gets out with that drop there, like fully intact, and then he just picks up and drops into Raynor's main, it's a big nuisance for Raynor. It's going to force like another 40-50 APM out of him. And we continue to see the Widowmines are being so annoying. And the only reason why we see Raynor really isn't able to like force that hive issue too much is that if he was to invest all that money into Infestation Pit and hive really early, he would probably die to this aggression from Clem. Sadly, he's finally losing that tank, but I wouldn't be surprised if that tank had quite a few kills on it. This counterattack in the top left is so devastating, actually. He's just going to straight up lose his fourth base. But Clem is also being a boss at expanding. And it means that he's going to ignore it, continue mining from the fifth, and try to see if he can get a counter to do damage. He's realizing now that he can't really... Oh, he wasn't able to like actually push in to that fifth there, so he went to look to see if he could deny the bottom right bases. There's 2 in the bottom right. And in doing so, Raynor went to defend, and Clem got a good trade, and so now he's trying to fight. You can see how good the concussive shell is here. He's going to pick up in a second, maybe. Yeah, he just traded out for the Zerglings. He kills those Hydralisk off, and he sets down a Widow Mine over there. He's going to keep mining. It's a good thing he started his 6th base CC pretty early on, because he's going to be able to recover his economy. All in all, he lost some economy here, but he was able to maintain his... maintain a lot of the equilibrium in the game through that little push there. He denied some of the creep, and he got to defend the push in the top right, and he traded pretty efficiently. He got a really good Widowmine hit there, right? So it's actually not too terrible. And he's keeping up the aggression by continuing to burrow Widow Mines everywhere. He's pushing into that third base really hard, and there's a lurker inside of the fifth base now. This is hard to deal with, multitask-wise. This game, Raynor actually goes fucking insane with all of his lurkers everywhere. Like, there was a point where it's like, how is this person playing the video game anymore? Like, get out, Clem. But I do believe Clem, I think he ends up losing, but he makes a game out of this, which was very inspiring to me. But despite all of this, the Widow Mines are doing so much work. The Widow Mines are good versus like the heavy Lean Bane brand. But if they're like really heavy on like Hydras and Lurkers, there's probably no reason not to be playing tanks and Ghost. But even now we see him continuing to split up, and he's looking for these bottom right bases. He's trying to prevent further expansions. Doing this just makes the comeback possible. So from now on, he knows that any good trade is another step towards victory. He was killing changelings there. And the game's not very good for Clem at all anymore, but he's playing it out to the best of his ability. This moment tilts me. I would lose my mind. It's like you're actually playing whack-a-mole in StarCraft 2.
Yeah, that's actually disgusting. What the fuck?
This is what it feels like to play against drops, I feel like.
Yeah,
But then,
except
the other way.
Except drops you need observers for. Drops you need a PhD to deal with. At this point, he's just kind of playing a minigame. He's like, I wonder how many lurkers I can kill. But he's having fun. But overall, that was a really nice game to watch him play. He knew he was dead. So he SCV scouts this game. And then he just goes into the main base and he starts being annoying. Oh, we can actually see how the 2-gas stuff is what I was talking about in terms of factory timing. I think we'll see him do it this time, where he actually pulls an SCV off his mineral line to build the CC faster, or to build the factory faster. See, he's not planning to go for whatchamacallit, third CC. So he's trying to get down that factory as fast as possible. So he pulls up another SCV rather than waiting for the depot to finish. That's a minor optimization on those builds, but it does matter quite a bit. Is the difference between your Hellions starting at 303 and 307, pretty much. Or not 303, 3 minutes and 307. He's a little bit slow in starting his gas, but it's okay. That's not a crazy mistake or anything. That's like actually just it happens and it's okay.
Do you forgive him?
Oh, I forgive the Clem boy. How can I not? Look at his pajamas, dude. Oh my god. I wish I had pajamas like that. They look comfy, bro.
You can buy them on teamliquid.com/shop.
Yeah, I could. Couldn't I, Lucas? You would know about that, wouldn't you?
Who knows? Maybe I do.
Ooh, ominous. I like it. He's killed 2 units with his Reaper, and he loses it.
That's actually disgusting.
Yeah, like he's being such a nuisance with that.
He could have gotten free, right, if he committed, but I guess he tried to keep it alive.
Yeah. He's playing Liberator. He sees the 3rd base. He sees 2 queens right there. It's still possible that there's like a weird roach build that happens, but he's gonna close his eyes and hope. Because honestly, he's not safe here. He could die, but it's okay. You know, something I learned about life recently is sometimes you die.
Oh.
This SCV micro is actually kind of insane. Oh my god. It looks like he's done that a few times. Oh, did he not build a 3rd CC?
No, he's just fucking
Yeah.
gonna kill him, I guess.
He is ready. Yeah, this was 4 Hellions. You gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em. But he already has a follow-up drop. This is kind of a crazy build. I want to do this to somebody. I want to hurt them. That's not sadistic. You're sadistic. I'm not projecting. You're projecting. Okay. So many angles. Oh, 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 oh. Oh! 감사합니다.
Okay. Can we do that?
Yeah.
But will it work?
Potentially. Just play StarCraft every day for 7 hours throughout your teens and you'll be there.
Fair.
And also have loving and supporting parents. That one also helps a lot, I've heard. That fucking reaction. Oh my god. I want to go back at that. I want to go back and look at that. He sees it. He sees it on the minimap right now. Look, 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 look. Oh! Did you see how quick he clicked that mineral line? That is the embodiment of mechanics to me. He knew what the action was to do already ahead of time. He was just like, I'm going to grab this, and then I need to click on a mineral line. And he did that. That's so cool. Look at this, man. He's so cool.
I'm surprised his opponent didn't try to follow the ACVs anyway, though.
I think that's also sick how Raynor also saw that he pulled back and then he pulled back while defending Clem's drop at the same time.
Yeah, because the reason why he didn't commit is because he wouldn't have killed anything at all. And I believe there was a Widow Mine there, and he was splitting from it. That's why he pulled back in the first place. And then secondly, if he does commit, where does he go? Does he go into his rally point where there's Marines that he can split and just kill the banelings anyways, or does he keep the threat alive and make it so that Clem has to keep doing like split second reactions like that all the time?
Damn.
He's 10 steps ahead. They're in the Matrix. We're in the Matrix.
He is the Matrix.
He is the Matrix.
So this always makes me think, if you like with these mechanics, right, which are just inhuman, how much of an advantage would you have to give like a 6k or a 5-5 Terran or Zerg against Clem or Raynor to actually win?
It's like they're off race or like in 6K.
Yeah,
So that much, I guess.
but like how much, like what supply would they not be able to come back? Like what supply difference or like advantage?
That's a very hard question to answer, because like there are some where it's like they should absolutely win from this, but like there's weird stipulations to it all, and like I don't know what like the map is like or what the build orders were, like unit sets. Like it's very hard to say.
That's fair.
Like I think the easy
Complex
answer is just
game.
give them a build order win and then have them play it out.
Oh, those Marines, like those like splits of the.
Yeah. He was trying to get it so that he would at least explode some of them.
Yeah.
Like more or less, you're just playing a game of like trying to kill the banelings without losing your Marines.
Yeah. During all of this, he never gets supply blocked and never banks any resources either.
Yeah.
And like, we don't even see him macro.
Yeah, you don't. You do it all while looking at your Marines. Like
See,
what you do to macro as Terran is you don't look at this. You don't like. Obviously, you're going to be looking at the banelings here in this situation, but like, as soon as these medevacs are lifted up and they're moving, he's gonna change his hotkey to look at his production right now. Look at that. He looked at his production real quick.
for half a second.
Yeah, he was checking it.
Oh my god.
And he's still not building units, to be honest. He just put down another CC instead of building units, to be honest.
Yeah, still, it takes him like actual split seconds to actually get the buildings you need to like not get supply blocked to, the additional production, additional pieces and stuff. And the upgrades.
Yeah, honestly, the most inhuman moment for me out of all that was like him seeing the mainling counter and then
Yeah, that
moving
was
the SCVs
insane
like
to
that.
me.
Like that part was insane to me. Like the depots, I think that's something you do every single game at a certain point, and that's not too
Yeah.
bad. But like all those little moments where it's like you just need to be paying attention and be good.
What can I say? Sadly, for my very small brain, even just macro that is so good that you don't see him macro is also impressive, even though for him it's mundane.
It really irks me that he pulls everything off his main though. Like that genuinely is not optimal to do. Like you would want to pull off of your natural, because at a certain point you've like saturated your main, and then you start saturating your natural with your main CC as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna keep saturating your natural. You're gonna keep rallying workers outward. So why would you pull off your main base when you could just pull the workers off your natural instead? It's just not as efficient. Gonna be real, I think he messed up his build pretty bad here. He just kind of forgot to lift up his factory and build a reactor. But he's gonna make it work. Like the way that he did it, like it's still a build order that is gonna work, but like this is kind of weird. That's my favorite thing to do is I find their Zerglings and I'm like, give me those Zerglings, boy. Give them.
That's a lot of. That's so annoying if they're like always perfect on the defense against the Banshees.
Yeah.
Yeah, here he really doesn't. He really doesn't accomplish much of anything with his.
He kills a creep. He kills a drone. He
Yeah.
kills a few things here, and you're gonna notice he didn't trade any of these units out. He got it all for free, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh.
in a moment, we're gonna see it start to compound. It's gonna start getting really annoying because now he has these Hellions. They're Hellbats now. He's checking this fourth base. Oh, you're a little bit late on your spore. I'm gonna poke in again. Let me do my timing now. Are you ready for this? Let me just kill a few overlords. Let's supply block you. Make you build a laser overlords. Okay, you had enough units to hold my timing, but I cleared all your creep. And I got a few drones out of it. Look
My God.
Look at his face. Look at his face when he does that.
Angry clam.
He's like, I have spent the last 7 years practicing every day and I can't build a fucking depot. In game 5 versus Raynor.
That is so funny.
Also, right there, he didn't have enough gas for his +2 earlier, but now he remembered and he spent it exactly at 175 gas while doing the attack.
Mhm.
Can we go back to Wings of Liberty where pros were human? Thank you.
Can we go back to Wings of Liberty when Goody had 50 APM and was beating Innovation? Thank you.
Yikes! What the hell?
Well, time was calculated differently back then, right?
I think we'd all be GMs back if we
I mean,
played.
yes, it was, but still, this 50 MMR
I'd be
back then.
you guys
it
would be GM and
equivalent
I would be
to, like.
I would be a GSL champion.
Yeah.
It'd be beautiful. Alas, we do not live in that reality.
It's like the 50 APM of back then is the 70 APM of now, so it's still ridiculous.
Yeah, that's like King Cobra.
Yes.
Well, it is ridiculous.
He was scared of that drop alert. He's like, there's definitely banelings in that. I don't trust this. So instead of killing the creep tumor or like sniping the gas or killing a drone, he just kills an overlord. That's beautiful.
Man, I can't imagine playing Zerg. Imagine playing Zerg and then facing Clem after practicing like your entire life for this, and then you just get absolutely destroyed by a guy who just has 5 drops.
Well,
I would cry.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I mained Zerg for a while before switching to quote unquote Terran.
See, that's why you've gone insane. And that explains everything.
Yeah, because I've had enough of getting harassed. And like, you know, it wasn't the GM chat 5 drops everywhere with the main push. It was just like one push and a single medevac in the main. I've had enough of that.
So now you harass us in the wine channel.
Now he makes cyclones.
Vikings
He
are
is
rat
the cyclone
every
man.
fucking day.
Hey man, that channel has to see you somehow. Because no
True,
one
true.
wants to use balance binding.
Well, it's always about Protoss, so we gotta change it up.
Yeah.
Viking OP Imba.
Genuinely do.
I love it though. Please never stop.
I say that feel when Vikings, you know, they're really good against units that can't fight back. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Well, to be fair, imagine being a Viking pilot.
That's like saying your parents are really good against children.
Man, my dad, we were doing beat up
Oh.
child.
It's like, yeah, my dad's really good at beating me. Anyways, moving on.
You got my phone like that. It's not how this works.
Oh, right here, he gets so sad. Look how sad Clem is. He talks about this in a second. He's like, oh man, I just didn't hit the button. Or like the command didn't go through or something.
Oh my
Oh. That's
Yeah.
Not safe for
And he
Terran.
loses because of it.
Not safe for Terran at all.
Why does he even have a bunch of ghosts?
What even happened there? What command didn't go through?
He didn't unburrow the Widow Mines.
Ah,
He actually would have won the game right there
fuck, man.
if he unburrows the Widow Mines, because look at this trade. Like, this is insane. Look how good it is for him. All he had to do was
a
just...
bunch of overloads camp about his army.
All he has to do is just unburrow the Widow Mines,
Bruh.
and then it was fine.
Yeah.
Feels bad, man.
Like, he would have traded out so well there. And then, like, he would have taken the 5th base then, and then it would have been fine.
Oh,
Inspiring stuff.
Darren Bio week in the chat. That's why every team want to quit the game.
imagine doing all that shit just to lose to non-burrowed mines. Your
Yeah,
own
well,
fucking units.
to be fair, you could say the same for the Zerg player.
True.
Imagine doing all that shit and then you take a massive Widow Mine shot and you lose the game.
That's fair, yeah.
Thank you, Blizzard. Very cool.
Thanks, Chef, as well. That was very nice.
Thank you, Blizzard. Very cool. Thank you, Kanye. Very cool. Well, I have been inspired. Are you
Time to
inspired?
play like Clem.
How'd you guess?
Not even GM.
I'm not even qualified to do this. I've been lying about everything I said this whole time.
Why are we listening to you?
Wait, look, Clem's not even GM either.
Yo,
Wait, he's
farm
only
world, man. What is going on?
Clem's below 7k? Wash?
He's not a real god gamer.
I think this is the Zerg I played.
When your opponent is GM, but he's 400 or below.
Okay, guys. Let me look like Clem. Okay. We gotta click a lot. And then I gotta.
No, dude, you look like a platinum trying to be cool.
Oh, we gotta build the depot.
And then you build cyclones.
Then you build
cyclones.
cyclones.
Yeah. And you click everywhere because it's cool. Don't forget that's the most important step, I guess.
Additional supply depots complete.
No, if you see a random creature, don't forget to click on it 30 times so that it doesn't block your building placement.
Dude, that's so fucking troll. Why 30 fucking times? Just like make it 5.
Oh, you know, what if you want to hear all of the voice lines though?
I
Of
heard
the
all.
critter.
Hey, I'm not even joking. At some point, you know, I was like playing the Brood War campaign or something. Like when I was much younger, I
7.
guess.
Oh yeah.
Not 7 sadly. But back when I was much younger, I was playing the Brood War campaign, and I saw a creature, and I wanted to hear all of its voice lines, and then it blew up. That's how I discovered it's a thing. It was so bizarre. Especially because like in Brood War, when the creature would blow up from clicking, it would be like it was like this small animation of a nuke, which, which made it even stranger.
Oh, really? They wouldn't just die?
And it did blow up. Can you? That's so weird.
What are you doing, Step Bro?
Clicking on a creature.
Stop it, Step Bro. Oh, I could have killed that drone, but I'm too nice for that.
Now
You
he gets
could-
a third.
Yeah, I feel like he would have all in me if I if I let that drone or I killed the drone.
Bro, just lane flight you.
Yeah, man. I'm doing my NPC AI manipulation right now. He didn't.
Add-on complete.
Oh, I need to do this and that.
Not enough minerals.
Not whatever I was doing.
Not enough minerals. Not enough minerals. Command center upgrade. Not enough minerals.
Yeah, the mushroom cloud of the Yeah, someone just confirmed it in general chat that it really was the thing.
That's hot.
That is like the nuke animation.
That's hot.
It's like it made it way more insane.
Insufficient Vespene gas. Not enough. Not enough minerals. Not
You
enough.
always go cloak first? Before Banshee?
Not enough minerals.
I went Banshee. And then Cloak. I did it wrong at first and then I fixed it.
Oh, okay.
Command center. Add-on complete. Insufficient Vespene gas. Unacceptable landing zone. Add-on complete.
Oh, I forgot to build a depot.
Additional supply depots required.
Don't worry, Terran is busted.
They have a bronze dig ability.
Minerals.
I feel like the supply drop is probably one of
Not
the.
enough minerals.
Yeah.
Not enough minerals.
I feel like it's a very bizarre feature. I'm really not sure why it exists.
Additional supply depots required. Add-on complete.
Okay. Yes, the otherwise that cleaning bot would have started mining minerals for dessert. Yes.
Not enough minerals.
Oh, it is the same guy.
Except in this game, the Helion Banshee actually does substantial amounts of damage
Not enough.
instead of just cleaning some creep.
Add-on complete. Not enough minerals.
It's even on the same map.
Not enough energy. Additional supply.
I need to be building like 3 at a time. I'm not used to having this much money.
Upgrade complete. Mineral field depleted. Add-on complete.
Nice.
Not enough energy. Not enough minerals. Research. Not enough minerals. Not enough minerals. Not enough energy.
Oh, I forgot to play the game.
Mineral field depleted. Mineral field depleted. Unacceptable landing zone. Not enough minerals. Add-on.
Wow, what a G.
I feel like Clem.
I literally looked away from the stream for like 3 seconds. What happened?
I walked up and I killed him.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, fair enough. You